Welcome to Digital Hospitality. I am your host, Sean Walchef. This is a Cali BBQ media production. Every single week, we talk about our ongoing thesis, and that is digital hospitality. Every business needs to be digital first, and every business needs to be in the hospitality business. Now, what exactly does that mean? That means that we teach digital storytelling. How can a small business owner, an entrepreneur, whether you're in sales, whether you're in marketing, how can you use your smartphone to start to tell your story? Use the video app, turn it into audio, create written content out of that, create images out of that, and post it all over social. But most importantly, post it on your website. Your website is your e-commerce site. Everybody that listens to this podcast, we're so grateful to have made so many connections all over the world. You guys are the reason that every single week we're driven to drive new people to the show that have an incredible story, that do their craft in a way that nobody else does. The people we bring on this show are playing the game within the game. Today's guest is Dave Williamson. He is a comedian that travels all over the United States. He has incredible content, but as an extra bonus, he's also a pitmaster. He also is a podcaster, and he's got just a phenomenal story. He's doing a show at Cali. He's kicking off his comedy tour, traveling all the way from Los Angeles to San Diego, all across the states to Memphis in May, which is the Super Bowl of barbecue. And he's doing it at all these barbecue restaurants away. And I love the story. There's a lot of lessons that can be learned no matter what business you're in. Especially with a guy that knows how to get Warren G onto his podcast. So we're gonna kick off this episode with a storytelling sit down from Dave about how he landed Warren G on his podcast and why that is the game within the game in digital hospitality.
There's definitely a backstory there that feeds right into what you're talking about, because I found out that Warren G was the big barbecue guy. And so I got excited. And when I first started my podcast, I knew he was a dude. I was like, I'm going to try to network into getting him on my podcast somehow, some way, because I was a big fan. I was a huge fan of Warren G growing
Regulators?
up.
Who isn't a fan? If you're not a fan of Regulators, you might not have a pulse.
Yeah. And I'm like the perfect age to where that was like, I was in high school and that song hit, and then bought all of Warren G's albums. And yeah, I'm a big Warren G fan. So when I found out he was a big barbecue head, I was like, me and Warren are gonna be best friends, you know? So I sent out some media requests. I couldn't contact anyone to make it happen. And I even called in favors to some industry people I know that might have more luck getting in touch with his people, and couldn't make it happen. So then I saw him posting on his social media that he was gonna have a contest during the pandemic, a barbecue cook-off, right? So I was like, well, if I can't get Warren G to come to me, I'll go. I'll go to him.
Barbecue is his Instagram handle. It's his barbecue business, and
yeah,
that's what alerted you. You were alerted to it on Instagram, right?
Yeah. So I was like, if I can't get him to come to me, I'll go to him. And so I applied for his thing, and they hit me up. His people hit me up. They're like, we want you to be a contestant on this. I'm like, I'm in. So I got in. I did an Instagram live with him where I was cooking pork grenades, which is pulled pork inside avocados wrapped with bacon. And got to do a whole interview with Warren and talked about what I was cooking, and we're talking about both of our barbecue journeys and whatever. And so then after it was over, I asked his production guy, hey, would you guys mind if I ripped this audio and put it up as an episode of my podcast? They were like, yeah, sure, man, go ahead. And I'm like, all right, I just got Warren G for my podcast.
I listened to the episode this morning as I was, getting a deep dive into Dave Williamson, and it's the essence of why I love podcasting. It's the essence of why I love digital hospitality. It's literally all these oh shit internet moments where no matter what your interest is, you can go down a path that you never thought existed. You can have a conversation with someone you grew up listening to, fucking Regulators, Warren G, but you find this subculture of his passion for barbecue and sniffing Griffin's barbecue. And you're like, how can I get him on my show? You don't even get him on your show. You go on his call to action and repurpose the content for your show.
Yeah.
It's literally the masterclass on how to do repurposed content and why it's important.
It's one of the coolest things about podcasting in general, right? Because before podcasting, most mediums, even the closest reiteration, which is radio shows, it was very formal, right? There's a format, you try to stay within it, certain constraints, even time-wise or whatever. But with podcasting, you could take so many liberties, and the only necessity is that people will enjoy listening to it. That's it, right? So that's why when I came up with the barbecue podcast idea, I didn't call it like the barbecue show with Dave or anything like that. I just called it Meet Dave.
Yep.
Because that these two things. It's the play on word with meat. So, you know, it's loosely based around barbecue and just the meat, you know, genre. And it's me meeting someone or someone meeting me. And I didn't want to be pigeonholed into it just being pitmasters or just being barbecue. So, you know, I've had a lot of comedians on, and we just talk about, you know, what kind of meals they had growing up. I've had people on from Australia, and we talk about, or other countries, and we talk about what the meat culture is like in their country. I've had butcher shop people, you know, so it doesn't necessarily have to be, I didn't want to pigeonhole myself into it just being barbecue owners, but it's just loosely based around people who are into barbecue culture, what they'll find interesting.
Well, what I love about your story, Dave, is like it's the subculture of the subculture. I mean, you're a comedian by trade. It's what you do. I'm a barbecue restaurant owner by trade, but I've combined my love of media, marketing, social, and I've made Cali BBQ Media, and I'm using podcasting, audio storytelling with a video component to literally live out my thesis, interview people that I find interesting in hopes that you, the listener, people that are listening to this show, that know this show, they know that, you know, last week I was talking to Jim Trotter from NFL Network. Now I'm talking to a comedian.
Awesome.
Like next week, it could be a restaurant owner with, you know, 35 restaurants, or it could just be somebody that, you know, is that I find compelling, that maybe is a doctor, who knows what it is, but the trust is there because of how long that I've done it, that as long as I'm pursuing this digital hospitality thesis of people playing the game within the game, the more that I have conversations like this, the more that I learn.
Sure. And look, the food and the barbecue is maybe what initially connects us, but I think what really makes barbecue special is the community aspect to it. And you can never separate barbecue from community. Literally, if you say, "Hey, why don't you come over and barbecue this weekend?" It doesn't even necessarily mean you're going to have barbecue. It's just I'm
Correct.
inviting you to a party on a Sunday afternoon to watch football,
There
right?
might be fire, there might not be fire. We're just going to call it barbecue.
Yeah, so that's really the essence of barbecue culture is, hey, we might connect about the fact that you have a barbecue joint and I'm a comedian and I'm going to come there and we both like barbecue, but really it's just more about, hey, you're interesting. I think I have some interesting things to say. You know, it's the people behind the genre that make it interesting to me.
Yeah, you know, for us every week we talk, I mean, we say stay curious, get involved, and ask for help. So staying curious, you've already done step one. You're listening to this podcast. You want to learn more, you want to, you know, find out what Dave has to say that can help you with your business or whatever your passion is or your pursuit in life is. But then you have to get involved. You actually have to do something. So it's like, it's great that you want to have Warren G on your podcast, but like you actually had to fucking do something. Like you went down the traditional path, which is I'm going to go and reach out to him through whatever means necessary, through Instagram, through, you know, his website, through, now I'm going to go through the professional channel, through the PR people. And then now I'm just going to fucking listen to his call to action, which is what the internet has done. It's literally decentralized all of these gatekeepers into, if somebody is a talent and somebody's an influencer and somebody's making legitimate content, chances are they're probably running their own social, or they have a team that understands what opportunity is on that social. So it's like somebody that's running Warren G Sniff and Griffin account, like they know, hey, this is somebody that we should have on. They have you on, but then you're in the content game and you repurpose that content because you know that that story shouldn't just be for one time. It should be forever, my appearance with Warren G. And now you have it as content that is evergreen content that will live there forever. When did you learn how to repurpose content?
I mean, I think if you're into podcasting, it's just a given. Like when you know, you did my podcast the other day,
Yeah.
and I first split second thought of like, oh, we should just do one podcast and then release it on both, you know, as a crossover. But you know, I was like, no, we'll do each other's because you know that way I get to talk to you twice this week, and we can specifically
Correct.
talk about certain things on each. But yeah, I just think, like I said before, but podcasting, there's no rules.
Yeah.
So the fact that that was the only way I could get Warren G on, you know, that it worked out, just a no brainer. I mean, I don't want to overthink it. I just wanted to release an episode of Warren G. But I'll tell you, man, it's such a calling card and such a foot in the door to just meet people that I respect. I mean, that's part of what birthed it also, is that when I was on the road performing comedy, I was going to go to barbecue restaurants and eat anyways. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to do, is just to Google, or normally when we're working comedy clubs, we're in town Thursday through Sunday. So Thursday night on stage, I would just throw out there, hey, I want to have some really good barbecue while I'm in town. Where do you guys think the best place is? And then everyone's got an opinion. And then after the
Oh,
show,
opinion about barbecue, shocking.
yeah, and then after the show, it gives them something to come up and talk to me about, and they're like, "Oh, you were asking about barbecue. Go to this place. Don't go to this place." You know. And so normally I would take all those opinions with a grain of salt and form my own opinion, right? But I found some great places through that way, and then a couple times too, someone who works at the barbecue restaurant is at the show, and they're like, "Hey, I'm a manager at so and so. Come by tomorrow. I got you guys lunch." You know, and I'm like, "Oh, can I sit down and interview?" Yeah, for sure. And I've made some great friends that way. And then sometimes through the podcast, I've made friends with people that I would have never reached out to otherwise, and found out, like you said, they're way more accessible than I would have ever guessed. Chef Art Smith is an awesome dude. He's been on every TV show. He was a judge on Pitmasters forever. He was Oprah's personal chef for like 10 years. He's got restaurants with Lady Gaga in New York. He's got Chicago Q in Chicago. So I was going through Chicago. I was on a tour. I was opening for Burt Kreischer. And so we were at the Chicago Theater. And I just Googled best barbecue places in Chicago. And that was on the list. And so then I looked up who the owner was, and it said Art Smith. And I wasn't super familiar with him, but I recognized the name. And so I just went to Art Smith Instagram, and I messaged him and said, "Hey man, I'm going to be in Chicago doing comedy. I have a barbecue podcast. I'm very passionate about barbecue. Do you have time to sit down with me?" And Art Smith himself wrote me back and said, "I actually live in Florida, but I'm flying into Chicago right now to meet with for a meeting." He's like, "I can meet you tomorrow night for dinner at 6 o'clock if you want to meet at the restaurant." Yeah, I'm in. I sat
Wow.
down with him, had dinner with him for an hour at the restaurant. He told me all these awesome stories about cooking for the Obamas, and and all these like famous people, and really cool experiences he's had, that food unlocked for him. And then I got in an Uber and I hauled ass to the theater, and it was the coolest thing to do. I went literally for an hour of having awesome food, hearing great stories from Art Smith, to running out of an Uber, running up on stage, grabbing the mic. Like I got there barely in time for 2,000 people at one of the most historic theaters in the country. And I'm just like, this was a good night.
That is incredible. I love that. And I mean, part of, we talk about digital storytelling. You said that there's what compels you to podcasting, which I'm sure compels everyone to podcasting, is you make your own rules. Are there rules to comedy?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I mean, in a perfect world, no. In a perfect world, the only rule is that people laugh, or at least you don't have to laugh every single line. I mean, some of it's building tension, some of it's making the audience think, but ultimately you want them to laugh. I mean, that's the essence of comedy, right?
Yes.
Um, you know, that kicks off a much bigger debate that people like to have about, how offensive can comedy be, but that's personal preference, man. Some people like doing super offensive shock comedy, and some people like listening to super offensive shock comedy. I don't think it has to be one thing or the other. It's as long as you have an audience that finds you and likes what you do, then there is no rules. No.
And for you, when did you fall into this love of comedy?
The cliche answer is I was always the class clown. I enjoyed making people laugh. It's one of my favorite things. When I had a tough situation growing up, I used to always disarm or deal with it through comedy. When I was a kid and watched Full House, I identified with Uncle Joey much more than Uncle Jesse. You know, I just I just always enjoyed being that guy. I love holding court at a dinner party, or at a party in college, and making sure everyone has a good time. So the fact that there was a profession that leaned into that, I just gravitated towards it. I was in the car business. My father's and my uncle and my grandfather, we have a car dealerships in South Florida that I grew up in, and so I thought that was going to be my path. And I really, really, really enjoyed the car business a lot, but I enjoyed this little hobby I picked up of stand-up comedy even more. I loved making people laugh and making them happy, and inviting my customers out to shows. And so I could go through a whole, I could go through a week of working at the dealership, and here we are, a family business that's done thing right for generations and given people a good place to work and a good place to thrive, and customers a place they can trust to come get their cars serviced and to buy cars from us. And even with that said, through all that hard work and established all this goodwill in the community, you still really only had people come and knock on your door if they wanted to bitch about something most of the time, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas I'd change my shirt after a shift and go down to the comedy club, and I'd MC for some comedian, and do 15 minutes on stage. And there was 300 people lined up who wanted to shake my hand and tell me what a difference I made in their week. And they were so thankful that they all had such a terrible week, and thank you for, making it better. And I just saw that I could maybe have a more positive influence on a broader range of people if I leaned into that as opposed to other things I was doing. So that's kind of where my passion for it came from.
I mean, I'm fascinated by anybody that's dedicating to their craft to make it their profession, like especially somebody that's willing to do the work that you have to do as a comedian, to work the stages and to travel and to, say bye to your family and come back to your family. But, so many people from the outside, they go, oh, it would be great to be a comedian. It's so easy. And they don't know the reps that go into the work that's necessary to tell a story on stage that engages an audience and elicits a response.
Yeah, I heard a great quote. I want to say it was Ray Lewis one time said that he would play football games for free. That like the games are so fun and he's so passionate about it. He would do that for free. He's like, what he's getting paid for is the practicing, the off-season workouts, the travel. And that's the way I feel about comedy too. I mean, we love being on stage and doing comedy. So I mean, I would and do shows for free. But what we're getting paid for in those shows is all the sets we did around town at bars and clubs for peanuts, in order to get the material to where it is, so that it's good for when we go on the road and do the shows, and it's the time away from our family, and it's the 8 hours in airports just to get to that town to do the shows that weekend. So that's what we're really getting paid for, is all the preparation and legwork and travel time and loneliness in hotel rooms, waiting to do a show that night. That's what we're really getting paid for. The shows are the gravy.
That's right. So how does Dave craft his jokes? Tell me about it. How does a joke come to be?
So really, for me, I mean, I consider myself more of a storyteller comedian. So it's just real life stuff. I could sit in front of a computer and be like, think of jokes, think of jokes, think of jokes, and never get anything that's like authentic or mind breaking. But what happens the best is, like, I got a brand new joke now where I just went to the coffee shop like a month or two ago, and I get my coffee, and it's a true story. I get my coffee, I go to walk outside, and there's two adults that are facing each other, and they've got their hands like this, across the table. It's two grown men, and I'm such an idiot. I just walk out and I see that, and I have always got to say something to everybody. So I walk up and I go, "Are you guys about to arm wrestle?" And the guy looks up at me and he goes, no, the guy looks up at me and he goes, I'm praying for him. And so I still didn't catch on. I go, I like the confidence in this guy. I'm going to pick him, right?
I'm waiting for him. Nice.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting for them to arm wrestle. And I go, and he looks up at me. He's like, no, I'm praying for him. He's going through a divorce. And I go like, oh. But so the second that happened, I go, well, that's going to be material, right? And it's a relatable thing. It's a scenario I would have never invented in my brain if I just sat at a computer and tried to write a joke, But since it really happened, as I'm walking away, I'm like, that's going to be a bit. And now I'll embellish it, and I'll maybe take a story from something else and add it to make a bit that comes to a point that I want to, come across on stage, a point of view. But just inventing that scenario would have never happened, and it wouldn't be as funny because it wouldn't be real. But since it really happened to me, it's something that I'm sure that if I tell it enough times on stage, it's going to grow into a good bit.
So now when you're crafting a bit, back to the rules of comedy and the rules of podcasting, do you put time limits? Because what I'm curious about is on the storytelling side, on the repurposing content side. You know, I listen to your CDs that you have available on Apple Music, which are absolutely fucking hilarious. I mean, I was listening to the CD you put out in 2012, and you're talking about your 4-year-old son and your 2-year-old son, and you're talking about getting like all your buddies told you once you have kids, you're never going to get invited to parties anymore. It's all over with. You're like, fuck that. I'm going to parties all the time. It's just SpongeBob SquarePants, and
Yeah.
you know, it's like Captain Moore. Like I'm bringing alcohol based off of the theme of the party, and I mean it's a fucking hilarious bit. But then you realize, you know, even when I'm driving in my car and I'm listening to XM, you know, Netflix is a joke radio, it's all clips. So it's like a clip of a story, and it's typically about 5 minutes. It's a 5-minute bit. Is there a rule that you follow, or is there not a rule? Does it depend on the story?
No, not really. I mean, you know, the rules of thumb are like, you want to trim the fat, you want it to be tight, you know. So generally, like, I'll tell a story, like, you know, like right now I'm on stage, I've been throwing out that arm wrestling thing, and figure out where the definite laughs are, right? So you figure out what's necessary for the setup to set the scene. You might flip it. You might find out that, you know, there's too much of a reveal, or they see it coming, so you start with this and then end with this instead. So I usually start small, and then I add a ton of stuff. And then after I ton of stuff, I figure out where the unnecessary parts are, and then I bring it back down to wherever the appropriate time and word economy is for that particular joke, you know? So it's really just writing on stage. I think when you first start doing comedy, you don't have as much opportunities to go on stage or the confidence to figure it out on the fly. So you have to write a lot, and you write every word, and you practice in the mirror, and you have to do it that way. Now, me personally, I just write down premises in my phone, and I go, all right, I want to remember to talk about this on stage and that on stage. And when I go on stage, I write it right there. You know, I write it out, I figure it out, and then when I get off, I go, all right, I can cut that part. I've done that part 2 or 3 times. It's not getting a laugh. This part's getting a laugh. Let's focus on this part. And then before you know it, you've done it so many times, you kind of it finds its own rhythm. You know what I mean? So by the time it goes on an album, you've got every laugh mapped out. You know, it's like set up, punch, set up, punch, set up, punch. You know, tag, 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 and you just know the story so well. And now the challenge becomes telling it. You've told it 1,000 times on stage to get it that perfect. So the rule in comedy is to make something seem like it's the first time you've told it, but have it so rehearsed that, you know, it's perfect. So you've told it 1,000 times to make it seem like it's natural. You don't want it to seem like you're just regurgitating jokes, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited about this tour too, man, because I've been luckier than most to tour a little bit through the pandemic, since Bert went and did these drive-in movie theaters, and I got to go with him. And then I figured out how to do Zoom shows, and I've done a few shows around LA that have been COVID safe shows. So I've been luckier than most to tour and perform a lot in 2020 and 2021, but I haven't been doing headline sets. So I'm excited to go do a tour when you're performing headline sets multiple times a week, because that's when you really get to play with a lot of these ideas. And I have so many jokes that are half worked out that I'm just excited
to work on the material.
Work on them, man. And yeah, and connect with the real audiences face to face. And it's going to be a blast, man. I don't know what to expect. There's going to be a lot of unknown with it, but I think that's going to be half the fun, you know? Some cities I feel really confident that I have a following and that people will come out and the shows. Some cities I have no idea whether I have, you know, fans that know me in that city and will come out. And I told the barbecue restaurants, hey, there might only be 30 people here. And they're like, we're cool with it. We can handle 30, we can handle 300. Let's see what we get, you know? So I think it's going to be, since the enthusiasm has been really cool online. So I just really hope that people, you know, come out and are in the kind of mood to have some fun in an unorthodox, you know, I don't know how many times people have done comedy, and doing comedy in restaurants and bars is not new, but barbecue restaurants, we might be pioneering something here.
You are definitely. And I actually want to talk about that subculture of, you know, really, because you leaned into something that you weren't doing before, your barbecue journey. And by leaning in, you created all this abundance of opportunity and an abundance of community and a way to connect with fans in ways that other comedians probably don't have that same connection. Can you talk about your barbecue journey?
Yeah, it's my favorite thing to talk about. I I was living in LA. I've always been a barbecue fan. I mean, this is here, let me show you behind me. This is a wood cutout that my girlfriend had
There you
made
go.
for me when I graduated. No, my girlfriend, who's now my wife.
Okay.
So this is the barbecue restaurant that I ate in almost every day of my college career. It's called Byron Smokehouse in Auburn, Alabama.
Okay.
And when you know that I'm not exaggerating, because why else would my girlfriend have this made for me when I graduated college? So I still have this on my desk. So I always loved barbecue, and my dad was a huge steak and potatoes guy. So eating meat and protein has been a big part of my life. And then I moved up to North Carolina after college. So that's another big barbecue hub. So, you know, I experienced Alabama barbecue, experienced North Carolina barbecue. And then I started doing comedy and working the road. Um, and I went to Texas. And a dude who I was doing shows with who lived in Texas said, "Hey man, I'm gonna go eat barbecue tomorrow." We were in Austin. He's like, "Do you like barbecue?" I go, "I love barbecue. I'm a barbecue expert." And he's like, "Oh, all right, man." He's like, "Have you ever had brisket in Texas before?" And I go, "What's brisket?" And he goes, "You're not a barbecue expert." He goes, "I'm gonna blow your mind tomorrow."
You're
I'm
a
like, "All right."
fraud.
So yeah. So we got up at he came and knocked on my door at 11 a.m. I was still sleeping. He's like, "Let's go." I'm like, "Why are we going so early?" He's like, "We got a lot to do." This guy took me to like 5 different barbecue restaurants that day. And I'm telling you, brisket blew my mind. And not only that, but the smoked turkey, the sausage, the pork. I'm like, this is insane. So for years, I would make sure that I had Texas on my calendar, even if it wasn't like a well-paying gig, just because I wanted to go eat the Texas barbecue. And you know, I started my whole thing of when I was on the road, I'd ask people, "Hey, where should I eat in town?" Even all around the country. So then
What
I got
year?
to
What year? Give me some years of when was this?
those were the I would say that was all the way up until 2012, something like
2012.
that, maybe.
So iPhone
Yeah.
iPhone comes out 2007. You're doing shows. When do you as a comedian start to get into social media?
I mean, so there was it's funny, I have the time hop that pops up on my phone now, where it shows like you know, some post I posted in 2010 about doing a show, and there was like 3 likes, you know, because people just weren't like, it wasn't populated yet on
Yeah.
there, you know. It was a cavern.
You started
Um,
started on Facebook and then you go from there.
I remember when I first started comedy, Dane Cook was like really blowing up because of MySpace, but
Yep.
I didn't understand MySpace at all. I was on it, but I didn't know how to get traction on there. Um, and even Facebook, and you know, the great thing about it was I had a lot of family and friends who would support me in anything I did. So the thing I utilized the most when I first started doing comedy was email lists.
Yep.
I sat down one day and I went like, car dealership friends, water polo friends, high school buddies, college friends, my parents' friends. I just took anyone who I thought would support me. I got their email address and I put together this mailing list. And then I would, when I had shows, I would email stuff out, you know?
Very smart.
Um, and I would say that, I mean, I've tried to lean into social media a lot, but I wouldn't say I got true traction until the past year or two on Instagram. And a lot of that I have to thank for is the barbecue, because I'd get followers through doing these big tours with Bert and through some other, like, you know, my podcasting and stuff. But I think keeping them is another story, and actually having a connection with them is another story. And I think barbecue is what's allowed me to really connect with people, because they send me messages going, "Hey, I just got my first big green egg. What should I cook first?" And I go, "Well," I actually write them back. And sometimes I'll even you can hit the button now and FaceTime people. So if
Yeah.
someone asks me a brisket question, I'll just message them and they're like, "Holy shit." And I'm like, all right, show me the brisket, you know?
I mean, you've created your own oh shit moment. You know, you've created your own Warren G moment for people that are fans of your comedy. They saw you on stage, you were there with Bert, like they loved your set. And then all of a sudden, like now you have this connection where it's like, I fucking know Dave. Like Dave's my buddy. Dave's my buddy. And they go and they tell their buddies, he gives me fucking barbecue advice.
Yeah. Well, I love being buddies with anybody who's that passionate about, and has the balls to tackle a brisket or to buy a smoker, and is going for it.
It does,
But
it does take a
so,
little bit of a sickness. It's a
yeah.
barbecue sickness that we all have.
But so the finish though, like what you asked earlier, was after that trip to Texas, a couple trips to Texas, and really opening my eyes to how great barbecue is. I moved to LA in 2012, 2013, somewhere around there, and there was nothing here then. There was nothing like that. So I just would I'd get mad when I'd go to a barbecue restaurant and they'd like have it covered in sauce and you couldn't even taste it. So I just told my wife one day, I go, screw it, man. I'm teaching myself. I'm doing it. I'm just going to do it. And so I went to Home Depot and I bought a crappy smoker, and I was terrible at it. But I got, with YouTube and books and following certain people on Instagram. And there's so many resources out there to learn. And then I started finding, and then when I would go on the road and go to these barbecue restaurants, instead of like, chatting them up just about like what I should order, I was chatting them up about, hey, how long do you cook this for? And what kind of rubs you use? I was starting to learn from them,
Yep.
And so I just taught myself. I mean, that was only like maybe 6 years ago,
Yeah.
and I graduated up to having a 900-pound gravity fed smoker in my front yard, and I have 2 Rectex next to it, and I have a Santa Maria grill next to it, and I sit in my front yard, and I built a barbecue shack the first week of quarantine. I wanted one. I kept seeing cool ones online, and so when the shutdown happened, I looked at my youngest son who loves to build stuff, and I'm like, we're building a barbecue shack. So we built one, and then it's become a focal point of the neighborhood, and people walk by. I have a little cement wall that only, it's a real short one, so it's real easy to talk over it. And so people who are walking their dog to the park, I have a park next to my house too. I mean, I just have people stopping all day, and they want to talk about my smokers, because it's kind of a unique thing. And now there's a lot of great places in LA, as you know.
Yeah.
There's been this boom the past couple of years. So I was fortunate to be on the front end of that with my own personal journey, to where I became friends with these other guys who were doing it at a high level. So, all my buddies are the pop-up guys that go to the breweries, Barbacoa Boys and Bart's Barbecue and Smokey Jones Barbecue and Oso's Barbecue, all these guys. And then now there's a bunch of brick and mortar places like Slab and APL Restaurant. So I just love being friends with these dudes and learning from them. And I'm not really trying to do barbecue on a professional level, like opening a restaurant or anything. I mean, who knows what's in the cards, but I don't look at them as like, I'm not trying to even be on their level. Like, I just enjoy having them as mentors and friends, because I respect what they do and how they do it.
Well, I think that's part of the, the most compelling thing when I talk to people that aren't in the barbecue world and don't, they have this idea that these pit masters are inaccessible, when in fact technology has not only made them accessible, but the more that you're willing to ask questions, it's out of respect that you want to learn from them, but they're willing to share that information with you. Like, they want to share that story. They want to pass on that information to the next generation of people that are curious about barbecue, whether you're, it's just your side hustle, your side passion, or you're a caterer, or you're a barbecue competition cook, or you want to open up a restaurant, whatever you're doing. The amount of willingness that people will share, it's very refreshing.
And you better believe that when I'm on this tour, dude, it's going to be aggressive coming in and out of some of the cities. So time willing, I'm going to be in every one of those kitchens, talking up those pit masters and those guys behind the scenes, the brisket trimmers. I cannot wait to learn so much shit on this tour. I'm excited for that.
So let's talk about this tour. So this barbecue tour going to Memphis in May, it's such an incredible idea on multiple levels, but I want to talk about it from a content level. So many comedians that are out there touring, they don't have something like this that you have. You've literally tapped into something that you love and care about, that you're completely authentic about, and that you've starting to build this incredible community of people that are supporting you through it, but you're also going to document it in a way that is going to allow you to create evergreen content. Why are you doing that?
I mean, it's such a unique tour that I have to, I mean, it would be a shame not to document it, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I got lucky enough to meet some people that made sense for them to travel with me. You know, it's this boyfriend and girlfriend that are really nice, cool people who just graduated from film school. And you know, I had uh, connected with them on some other project, and we just started shooting the shit about it. And they were like, "Dude, we'll come with you." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's make it happen." So we figured out how to make it happen. So they're gonna shoot it for me. And just, I mean, like you said, we have a production studio in our pocket now. So even
Yeah,
just the Instagram stories are gonna be a blast, you know?
correct.
Um, so yeah, I'm really excited about, and the fact that I'm basically doing a live version of my podcast. So if nothing else, I'll just be uploading those pitmaster Q&As to YouTube and to my podcast, just like I did with the Warren G thing. Just gonna rip that audio and make them mini podcast episodes. So for people that don't know, the concept of the tour is I'm going to barbecue restaurants across the country. I'm gonna do my headline set, so it'll be anywhere from 45 to an hour of stand-up comedy. But then we're gonna do 20 to 30 minutes of Q&A with the audience, me, and whoever the hosting pitmaster is. So at the show in San Diego, it'll be Sean. At another barbecue restaurant, it'll be whoever the guy there is, you know? And we can tell stories just like we do on podcasts. If the audience has specific questions, like, what do you put in your rub? We could talk about that. And I'm sure that'll lead to funny stories about trial and error of coming up with the rubs and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to that component, man. That's going to be a blast. And so that's the main thing that caused me to want to have someone with me. Cause I'm like, if we're doing these Q&As, there's going to be so much gold there that people are, you know, are going to want to listen to, that I got to have someone to record that.
Yeah, it's super, super exciting. I mean, it's new, it's different. I mean, especially like I told you when I was on your show, it was, if there wasn't a pandemic, this would be exciting as hell. But the fact that we're coming out of a pandemic and everyone just can't wait to get back into restaurants to, you know, even though it's going to be socially distanced and say, like, people just, we want to be around people. We want to hear fucking jokes. We want to hear laughter. We want to have some beers. We want to have some barbecue. You know, we want to watch some sports. We want to do the things that, you know, we all love to do, which is just get together, you know, share each other's time.
And to your point, man, it's a perfect branding or fit for me, because I already do a lot of jokes about being a dad, as you found out on my albums, right? Barbecue leads
That's a
into
the dad is a universal language.
yeah,
You can,
yeah, it's very authentic towards my dad jokes, that, you know, it's barbecue thing. But also, man, I have very positive comedy. Like, very little of my comedy is bitching. It's usually like maybe highlighting the absurdity of being a parent, but not bitching about being a parent, you know?
yeah.
Um, so I never, that was totally unintentional. It's just my point of view of life, I think, in general. So when my first album came out, one of the album reviews said it that way, and I took it as a huge compliment, where they said it's a lot of they go, it's a lot of material you've kind of heard before, where it's like, you know, being a dad is like this or whatever, but it's a refreshing take on it, because Williamson highlights it in a positive way, whereas most people bitch about, you know, being a husband and being a parent, you know? So I took that as a huge compliment. Um, and I think right now, more than ever, it's a good fit, because people don't want to come out their first time coming out of their house and going to a live show. They don't want to hear about politics and my opinions on this or that and beating it over their head. They want to hear about real life stuff and remember the funny stuff, and not taking ourselves too seriously, and being self-deprecating, and laughing about the fun things in life, you know? So
Yeah.
I hope I can bring that to people, and give them something to remember.
So without ruining any of the content that's coming our way on May 6th, do you have any barbecue jokes, or do you have a good barbecue story for us?
So, you know, I definitely have a few like little lines about barbecue, but I don't have full-fledged like worked out bits about barbecue. And it's something I'm excited about with this tour, because being in all the restaurants, I'm undoubtedly going to get some barbecue bits and stories out of it. So yeah, I definitely look forward to that. I mean, I would say the main thing is just I like to make fun of the fact that in LA, I have this 900-pound smoker in my front yard, and anywhere else in the country, like, that wouldn't mean anything to anybody. They'd be like, oh yeah, but
in LA, it's definitely
in
a
LA,
funny
it sticks out like a sore thumb. And I say the only reason why it doesn't cause problems is because I don't even think most people know what a smoker is out here. They just are like, is that a vault that you keep your kale in? And I'm like, yeah, totally.
Yes, it's my kale vault.
So,
well,
so
I want to give a shout out to Mike Perez. He's the one that originally introduced us.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
How do you know Mike?
Mikey, oh boy. I know Mike from the college days, man. He was over in Atlanta. So my best friend went to Emory University and worked waiting tables with Mike. And so I was at Auburn, so I'd go over to Atlanta to party, and then we'd all hang out, and then just have kept in touch over the years, man, as he's opened restaurants and been in the restaurant industry, and just always really thought he was such an impressive dude. And then we reconnected through social media. One of the other wonders of social media, when you use it correctly to actually be social and keep in touch with people, is he lives in San Diego now, and I live in LA. And he hit me up during the pandemic and said, hey man, I'm thinking about ordering a cow from Colorado, and I want to get a couple guys to go in on it. Do you want to come in on it? And I go, I'm in. And I happened to be doing a show with Bert down in San Diego. And so we set up the meat draft for that particular weekend that I was in town. So we were all masked up and came in there, and he had all the cuts laid out on the table, and we literally did it like a fantasy football draft. We picked names, so we knew the order. We had all the cuts. We had all our rankings. We had a time limit, and people had to pick what cuts they want.
That is awesome. A meat draft. I love it.
Yeah, it was really fun. And I got to tell you, it was worth the price, obviously, because I got great meat out of it. But even if not, the enthusiasm people had on my Instagram stories for trying to guess what meat was going to go, it was so much fun. I think there's something there to lean into in the future for sure. I want to do a pig one next.
Yeah, pig draft. I like it.
Yeah, good idea. But the number one, so Mikey had the number one overall pick, and in a shocker, went with the tongue.
He went with the tongue, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then everyone thought brisket was going to go first, but it was actually a smaller brisket. So I think I had the second pick. So I actually skipped over the brisket, and I went with I want to say I went with the tenderloins.
There you go.
And then the brisket went third. So it was fascinating. It was a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just another reason why we love social, we love digital. We lean into the positivity of all this technology. And that's, I wouldn't have met Mike if it wasn't for my podcast. Somehow he heard about it, and then he reached out through LinkedIn, and then he's like, hey, you got to meet my buddy Dave. I checked out your Instagram and saw all the incredible content and stuff you were doing. And then, now you're going to be coming down to Cali on May 6th and putting on a show. And, we're just opening our restaurant back up. And I mean, I couldn't be more excited to be a part of this, historic tour to Memphis. And, I can't tell you how excited we are to watch it as it goes on, because of social. We'll feel like we're there with you, seeing how these jokes progress.
And just so people know too, like the way the tour started was because I wanted an excuse. I wanted to do some I wanted to work so I could go to the Memphis in May. But it turns out like I'm doing that the first week of the tour. And since other restaurants have reached out and I found other places, I'm going way past that. That's just the beginning.
It's the beginning.
I'm going from LA to Texas to Memphis, up to Pennsylvania, Boston, New York, Jersey, back down to Ohio, down through the Southeast. We're going to the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, back up the gut to the Midwest, Indy, and and all up through there. And then I'm going to work my way back through the middle of the country to Colorado, and then down to Phoenix, and then to Bakersfield, back to LA. So it's going to be 2 months of just driving.
I love it. I love it. It's going to be the Forrest Gump picture of everyone following you by the end.
I hope so,
Everyone
man.
following you, all the huge media outlets dying for the story. They want, Netflix wants a deal, Amazon Prime wants a deal.
Oh,
Let's
God
do it,
willing,
Dave.
please put that out in the out into the universe.
I will
I
put that out. They better start bidding on it because this is incredible content.
I got a I bought a travel trailer. I finally found one the other day that's gonna work great. So I got the travel trailer. So me and these film student graduates can sleep in the travel trailer. And so now I'm hustling trying to get it wrapped. So I got to get a graphic designer that can knock that out for me in the next day or two, and then I'll have just enough time to get it wrapped. So keep your eyes out if you're on the highway at any of those places. You might see my face holding a rack of ribs on the side of a travel trailer going down the highway.
I love it. I love it. We can take some selfies down in when you come down here to San Diego. That's going to be awesome. Where's the best place for people to buy tickets?
So if you go to davewilliamsoncomedy.com, as I'm putting the tour dates up there, there's a handful already up for sale, and then we'll be adding them, I'm sure, all the way up. I'm sure we'll still be adding them as the tour's going. I'm sure, like, I just had a phone call this morning from someone who caught wind of it and wants to be added. So we're just going to keep adding. And the whole idea is the tour will kick off May 6th with you down in San Diego. And then it's going to go, I'll get back to LA and be home with my family on 4th of July, which is a perfect time to wrap up a barbecue tour. Let's come home and have ribs in my front yard on 4th of July. If you know of a place that'd be a good venue, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at Dave W Comedy, and we'll see if we can add you to the routing. Or if you don't see your city up there, just keep an eye out, because like I said, I'm confirming with these restaurants and adding them every day.
And you're still accepting sponsors, right?
100%.
So
Shout out.
Just in case someone's listening to this podcast and they're a global sponsor that wants to send you to Australia or Denmark or Norway to continue this worldwide barbecue tour, there you're available to that conversation, correct?
And any way that I can bring value to a barbecue brand, 100%. I'm wearing the hat right now, Bear Mountain Barbecue Woods. They make pellets and some other things for pellet smokers. So they've been very supportive, man. So they're my title sponsor for this tour. And then RecTech has always been very cool to me, man. They make great pellet smokers. So I'm going to be bringing my little travel smoker, my Trailblazer 340. I have it. I bought one of the little platforms so I can mount it to the back of the travel trailer and take it on the road with me. So I'll be smoking my own meat as I go with my Bear Mountain pellets and my RecTech smoker. And if there's any other companies out there that feel like I could bring them some value by getting involved in this tour, please feel free to reach out. I mean, I've got even, small companies, a dude, I'll give him a shout out. Let me see what his Instagram handle is so I can get it right. But dudes like this, Small Plate Chef, at Small Plate Chef. He makes small plate blades on Instagram. This dude's making me a badass knife. So small businesses like that, they don't have money to throw at me for endorsements, but they're sending me a product that I know I believe in because I follow this dude and I see his craftsmanship and I see that he's a good guy. There's all kinds of people that send me rubs and sauces, and I like to support people that are taking swings. Burner Beef is a dude up in Illinois who makes beef jerky. Just a sweetheart of a dude. Who's really just works his 9 to 5 during the day and then doesn't sleep because he's making beef jerky at night for people to pick up. There's just so many dudes like that around the country that we can help each other, and I really believe in what they're doing.
Well, I love what you're doing. I'm going to tell all of our barbecue podcasters, specifically Greg Rempe of the BBQ Central show, the #1 barbecue podcast. I'm going to make sure he gets you on the show to talk about the tour, to promote the tour, to get some more awareness. I mean, barbecue comedy, this is what America needs right now. And the fact that you're out there doing the things that we love, doing it digitally, you're capturing the content. I mean, Dave, I'm super excited. I'm honored to be the first restaurant on the tour. Seriously, the West Coast barbecue movement, something that we talk about all the time, and it's a rising tide. We all help each other. Stover, my producer, he's going to put links into the show notes for how people can buy tickets, how they can download your CDs, how they can follow you on Instagram, follow you on social, follow your sponsors as well. And man, we can't wait. We're going to make some epic content. I'm going to have my Rising Tides creative. They're going to be there capturing content from when you come. So we can repurpose that into another podcast episode, but it's going to be awesome, man. We can't wait.
Love it, man. Yeah, and the last thing I'll plug too, man, is I've got my own rub now that I'm
Nice.
super excited about. And that's, you can get that pre-sale at davewilliamsoncomedy.com as well. I haven't even announced it on Instagram yet. It's just I
Really
already have it.
beautiful.
Yeah, I
Well,
already have the
we
link
have some barbecue shops that would love to have it in their stores.
done, dude.
Hot sauces and more. Brian, I'm coming for you. Derek,
I'm
Valley Farm Market, we're coming.
I'm stoked about it because so many people hit me up and ask me about it's the number one question I get is what kind of rub. And my rub, like I don't really have a go-to rub. It's just it's mostly salt and pepper is the secret. But I'm just a mad scientist with it. It depends, like if I feel, it depends who's eating it. If my kids are eating it, then I'll lay off the pepper flakes. If it's you know, someone who's coming over that I know they like, you know, this, or if it's pork, I like to put a little red in it because I think it looks pretty, you know. So I just kind of mix it up. So this is something that I think is a good, solid, all-purpose rub that when I go on the tour bus or on the road, I know it'll work on everything. I don't have to have 6 bottles with me. It's just the one thing that I don't even have to bring salt and pepper. If I'm eating a salad, I'll just drop this on top of it instead of salt and pepper. I'll use this as to make a bark. I'll use it to season a hamburger. You can use it for anything, you know.
I love it. Well, if you're listening to this podcast, you're part of, you're part of the rising tide. We can't thank you enough for listening to the podcast. Be sure to buy tickets. This show is going to sell out. But if you don't get a ticket and it's sold out, hit me up because, we'll figure out a way to put a security jacket on you and get you in the show. Because if you listen to this podcast, you listen to the bullshit that comes out of my mouth, you know how much we care about it. But more importantly, you're part of the community and we want to make you better. But we also want you to be part of this historic night that's going down on May 6th, starting in San Diego and going all over the United States. Dave Williamson, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
John, thank you, brother. Can't wait to see you next week.